Hi, I'm Matt Nuccio, and I'm joined again with
Bill Southard from Southard Communications.
We're here with the UIA to talk about
Public relations and social media.
So is there any way to benchmark or gauge how well a PR program is going?
Sure. Yeah, and it's a great question, because one of the steps that is often missed when an inventor sits down with an agency or a freelancer is, what are the expectations? Things don't happen overnight, right? So when and I'll break it into a couple sections. You break it into earned media. And the reason they call it earned is because you're not paying for it, so you have to earn it on the merits of that product being worthwhile for somebody to
So earned media is, you're not hiring them, they're finding you and they want to do a piece on it?
I'll give you an example. So we're hitting the summer season here. So whether it's a producer at the Today Show or a journalist from USA Today, what they're thinking about is, what types of stories do I typically cover during the summer? Publicists, they understand that that's kind of the news cycle that these media are operating under. So a lot of what you do from an earned standpoint is really seasonally focused, because we're really playing off the editorial focus of all those media outlets. What earned media does, it works with the editorial community and the producers to create an opportunity for them to feature the story, on their publication. The upside is inherently it's more credible, because it's a third-party endorsement from somebody who's doesn't have a vested interest, right? So it's Matt Lauer saying, hey, I use this product to keep my shirts clean in the morning, versus having a company say it. So there's that credibility.
But if an inventor decides to do it on their own, where's the best place to begin?
So the best place to begin is you start by having to create press materials that explain what the product is and what it does, right?
What, like sell sheets or videos?
So you need to take a sell sheet and turn it into an editorial. And the difference between a sell sheet is the editorial community is looking for information that isn't as commercial as a sell sheet, right? When you develop a sell sheet, you're like, hey, here's the features, here's the benefits. The news release has to be a little bit written more from an editorial perspective.
So you're trying to sell more the sizzle than the steak?
Yeah, and you're trying to sell. You're not trying to be overly commercial.
Is there anything an inventor should avoid in saying? Is there any, everybody probably writes the greatest thing to happen to this industry since
the superboles.
Right.
You got to words like unique, innovative, groundbreaking. That's a lot of hyperbole that the editorial community kind of sees through. Because everybody thinks their product is unique and it's interesting. The best way to truly differentiate a product, and again, this is where a professional can come in, is not just writing a release and sending it out. The best way is to actually demonstrate the product. So what most good agencies do is they'll basically create an opportunity where you'll do a desk side briefing with a group of media, and you'll say, hey, listen, here's the product, here's how it works, here's this functionality, here are the benefits, here's how it's different from competitive products. That's being able to see it in a situation like that makes a lot of difference. That's
interesting. So it makes me wonder, depending on the type of product you have, is different media better for it? So if you've got something that's very visual, perhaps TV is stronger, but if it's better explained, maybe you want to be on public radio opposed to on CBS Sunday Morning.
Some products it's a good question, because some products do tend to be more visual in nature. So I do think you need to figure out, based upon this individual product, what are the best communications platforms, right? At the end of the day, if you're going to spend any money on marketing, it really should be a program that has some consistency and uses multiple platforms. So most programs, particularly at the event level, they start with a trade PR program. What many don't know is that buyers at different categories, whether it's automotive products or consumer electronics or toys or juvenile, buyers read industry publications, which are trade magazines. They aren't read by general consumers, but they're read by industry people looking for what's going on within the industry. So that really is the starting point for most inventors, is reaching out to those trade media, creating opportunities to generate some exposure so that a buyer can have some interest in the product, and they may call you and say, hey, I read about the product in this publication, I want to talk to you. Or you can use that to convince buyers that there's some merits in meeting to at least considering putting the product on shelf. So that generally is the first step in terms of how do you structure a program.
Please visit us online at www.uiausa.org or visit us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/UIA USA.